test. Okay, we are on. Hello everybody, my name is Nico and welcome to the Trading Setup channel and today's stream. So today we're going to be discussing the parabolic stop and release, or the PSAR as it is commonly known. We're going to look at what it does, what it shows us, when to use it effectively and when not to use it. And we're also going to look at a strategy or two to help you find entries or help determine where to where to enter the market using the parabolic stop and release. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to jump to the charts. On our platform, we're going to add the parabolic. You will find it there, Parabolic SAR or PSAR. We're going to add that to our chart, and we can see that when we add this, we suddenly see a bunch of dots on our chart, and we're going to leave this on default settings. Acceleration 0.02 and the maximum acceleration is going to be 0.2. These you can play around with this a little bit, but I just leave it on default settings. This is what the parabolic looks like. The parabolic stop and release, or PSAR, is a trend indicator. So from the name, this will work really well when price is trending, and it does not work well when price is in a range. So the first thing we need to do when we want to use the parabolic stop and release is to determine whether the price is in a trend or not, whether it's ranging or trending. And determining that is fairly easy. So in all the videos we've done before, I kept on saying that we can define a trend as price making lower lows and lower highs, or higher highs and higher lows. For bullish, when price is going up, we want to see higher highs and higher lows. Let's see if we can find a quick example. This is what a bullish trend looks like. So we can see that price has all these pullbacks. While it's moving upwards in general, this is an upwards trend. By every definition, we are making higher lows. So every time we get a pullback, this low here is higher than this one, and we can see that the lows are higher, and same goes for the highs. And when we have a, let me just hit refresh. Let's just go to a different asset quick. When we have price in a bearish trend, we can again see that price is making lower lows and lower highs. Right, so first of all, we need to establish whether price is trending or in range. If price is not moving in a trend and is in range, the parabolic stop and release kind of becomes useless. We do not want to use it for looking we don't want to use it to look for entries when price is ranging. But when price is trending, this will be that's its time to shine. So you will see that at points the dots from the parabolic will be above, and at points it will be below. The reason this happens is because when price breaks through the parabolic, let's say price is moving in a downwards direction as it is here, the parabolic will accelerate. So the more price moves in a direction, you will see that these dots become, first of all, they go closer to the current price, and the gaps in them will become a little bit bigger every time the price continues its way. When price finally moves through the parabolic, it will change direction. So when price is moving upwards, the parabolic dots will be below the candles, and when price is in a downwards trend, the dots will be above the candles. So this will usually indicate the change in direction. And as you can see, it is pretty chaotic. If we look at it, we can see that it quite often pierces. You will see this on all assets, doesn't matter if it's real market, OTC. We will see that this is a great example actually of a market that's in range. The price is stuck in this area here. It's just moving up and down. So we're definitely not going to look for entries when we see price behavior like this. But we can see that quite often the parabolic will be broken, only to be broken again in a 2 or 3 candles. So using the parabolic by itself is chaotic. I certainly wouldn't recommend it, but there are ways that we can filter this information. So if we sit back and think about it, the parabolic is a trend indicator. So it's showing us trend. Also keep in mind that this is a lagging indicator. Okay, so it takes, excuse me, it will give you entries only after the initial change has happened already. So it's a lagging indicator. It's not showing you something that is happening as it is happening. It takes a while for that change in direction to show up in the parabolic. But if we think about it, the parabolic is a trend indicator. So what can we combine with, what type of indicator can we combine with a trend indicator to show us whether this trend is likely to continue or likely to reverse? And those would be the momentum indicators. Momentum indicators are your indicators like your RSI, the stochastic oscillator, and another indicator that is extremely useful for especially when combined with the parabolic stop and release, is the ADX. So the ADX is classified as a trend indicator technically, but the ADX itself is shows us the trend strength as well. So it's showing us strength, or you can think of it showing us the momentum of price movement. So that's another indicator we can combine with the parabolic stop and release to give us entries. Now let's have a look at what that looks like. I added the wrong indicator there. Okay, so I've added my ADX. I am just going to make some visual changes quick, so we can get the DI plus and DI minus properly distinct. Excuse me. Okay, so one of the common ways to use the ADX combined with the parabolic stop and release is to look at the direction that price is moving, and then when the ADX arises, we did do a video stream on the ADX a couple of weeks back. So if you don't understand the ADX already, go watch that. It was pretty insightful. But if you do understand how the ADX works, that's great. We can see that in this upwards movement here, for example, we can see how the ADX started climbing. We had the DI crossovers there, which was right on just before the price broke the parabolic stop and release here. We can see that price was already kind of moving in an upwards direction. So this would have been the trigger of the upwards move with when price broke through the parabolic here. That was the trigger for the upwards movement. This is not where we would have taken any entries. Where we would have taken some entries is here. We can start looking at entries here and here. The reason we do this, we can see how the ADX is climbing, and we can see how this value keeps climbing. So while the ADX itself is above 25, we consider that the strength, that the current move has a lot of strength and is likely to continue for at least a little while. So when we see a break like this, where the price pushes through the parabolic, we can then, if we are on very short term, like if we're trading options, we're on a 5-minute chart at the moment, we can consider taking a 5-minute or 10-minute or 15-minute buy when it breaks like this. Alternatively, if you're trading Forex, where you want to find an entry for a longer period of time, this would have been your entry, and your stop would have been somewhere around the parabolic stop and release area here. So which basically brings us to the most recent low. That's kind of where you would have put your stop loss. Another thing to note is that when you're trading, when you're using the parabolic stop and release in a Forex setup, you will be using this as a stop loss. So the further the price would be running in a trend, the closer the parabolic would go to the candles. And we can see every time when it starts moving upwards, we can see how these candles starts accelerate. Oh, sorry, these dots starts to accelerate. We can see these gaps growing, and they are coming closer and closer to the candles. So if you did enter here on a buy for Forex, we could have a look at, like I said, your stop loss would have been there roughly. We would have had to pull back, and then we would have had another push, another possible area for an entry for us, and then we would have moved our stop losses from here to here. So this entry would have been kind of like almost break even. And after that, what I like to do is I just use the lows. As soon as a new low is formed and confirmed, I just move my stop loss to the newest, to the next low. So the next one would have been there, and then we would have correlated that with the parabolic. So we could have gotten a move from here to roughly around this area here. We would have either closed or got stopped out. Okay, so this, like I said, this is a lagging indicator. If we take the total distance of this current move, where we finally did get a valid way to enter, because the ADX was climbing strongly, it went over 25, and it finally broke here, we can see that we are almost halfway through this move. And this is the reason why I said earlier that the parabolic stop and release is a lagging indicator. It doesn't, it's not one of these indicators that will catch the maximum distance of a move. It doesn't act as an early warning system. It's lagging, but it is effective when you start combining it, for example, with the ADX. If you look at that, at the entries we got here, it was a solid entry. We can also look at this. Yeah, we would have missed this because what's that value there? Okay, so when the parabolic broke through here, we did not have the ADX was bullish first of all, because the DI was dominant, DI plus was dominant there, and we only had the crossover there. You could have maybe risked a sell on the crossover itself as well. The ADX was at 22-ish, so not low but also not high, and this value would have come from the move from the up movement as well. So caution needs to be exercised. So most likely this move would have been missed if you were trading on Forex, but yeah, if you were trading on options, you could have taken maybe on the DI minus crossover, you could have maybe taken a 5 or 10 minute sell off the 5-minute chart. This will work on all time frames, by the way. You can use this on all time frames. Keep in mind that the lower your time frames goes, the more choppy the market's going to get. But you can definitely use this on a 1-minute chart as well. We can see that we had an ADX value here of 70 when we broke through this SAR. On a 1-minute chart, you could have taken a 3 or 5-minute sell here and would have been a good entry. The same goes for this. We were moving downwards, broke up, and this candle would have pierced down, so a 5-minute sell there. Yeah, this candle pierced, this green candle here pierced the parabolic stop and release, so the next candle would have made the flip, and then it immediately flipped again on the next candle. So you could have taken a 3 or 5-minute sell here as well, and 3-minute wouldn't have been great here, but 5-minute would have been good. Okay, so that's one of the ways we can effectively use the parabolic stop and release, is to combine it with the ADX. It's one of the more popular ways to use it, and yeah, works on all time frames. If you're trading Forex, you can go to 1-hour charts, for example. Let's see where we would have gotten in. we have a relatively low ADX here. This would have been so sad. Very small move on the parabolic. Let's have a look at good old trusty Euro USD. Okay. Charts are not playing along here today. But very usable, especially for options on 5 minutes, but for scalping as well on Forex. You can scalp Forex with this strategy if you need to like be in a position of the 5 minutes or 15 minutes for a couple of hours. Might actually start pushing through here. Would like to see a flip over on that. Please feel free while we're doing this to ask any questions if there's something that's unclear. This is a great time to do this, to ask those questions and get answers immediately while we're busy. Let's see if we can find an asset that's trending and maybe get a trade or two in as well while we're at it. So we're looking at odd NZD is indefinitely in a downtrend. It did take a rest here in this area, but we are definitely moving downwards. We've got the ADX is coming down. DI is also dropping, not ideal. The ADX will show you price movements. I want to say more in real time than the parabolic would, but that doesn't sound right in my head. But yeah, the ADX will show you much closer to real time. It give you signals much closer to real time than the parabolic would, because the parabolic is such a lagging indicator. There was a buy opportunity here. Okay, so lots of buy opportunities. If we look at this upwards move here, especially this last area here, where we had the DI plus dominant and we had the ADX well above 25, and we could have taken buys on both of these breaks. After both of these flips, we could have taken buy trades when price broke through the SAR resistance. We could have taken buys there. If you took 5-minute buys on both of these, you would have been golden. This entry here looks a little bit dodgy. Yeah, ADX was a little bit low here, but if you look at, for example, the way that the DI is dropping, the DI minus is dropping really hard here. It dropped below the ADX, and we had the bullish crossover. The DI plus is climbing. Might have taken a buy trade on that as well. And this area here is where we don't really want to trade. We can clearly see the price is in a range here. So we definitely don't want to trade in that. There we go. So as soon as you realize price is in the range, do not rely on the parabolic for entries, because it doesn't really work when price is ranging. This is a trend indicator. Trend indicators work well when price is trending. It's that simple. It's the trick is just to identify when we're in range and when we are trending. But it's super easy. This is a beautiful bullish trend on USD here. We can clearly see price is making higher lows, price is making higher highs. Kind of looks like we're getting stuck in a faint wedge. Okay, just look at how beautiful price is behaving with this trend line here. There we go. We can see price is respecting this trend line, but it is still assaulting that trend line. So let's just check the channel quick. something like that. There we go. Okay, so price is definitely, no doubt that price is in an upwards or in a bullish trend here in this example. Let's see if we can find some entries. You always hope, when I do these streams, I always hope that I get that the charts play along and I get some decent entries just to show as examples. Okay, so we can, if once you see price behavior like this with a very high ADX, we've got the dominant DI plus on the ADX, you can sit on this for a while and wait for price to break the parabolic stop and release. That's what we want to see now. We want to see price just dip below, because that's going to be the correction that we're looking for. And when price breaks over again, we know that it's just a correction and price is going to likely to continue the bullish trend. This is what we see happening here, and this what we saw there, although this one was a very sloppy, this movement here, but this was a clear pullback, just a correction, and then price continued its way upwards. So if you understand that, again, I know I say this in every single video that I do, but it's important to understand how we define a bullish trend and define a bearish trend. We want to catch, if you're trading, if you're doing any trend trading, you want to catch those corrections, those pullbacks, like this, like what's happening right now. We want to see these happen, because I know that if price is pulling back, this could be a reversal for all I know. At this point, this could be a reversal. I don't know. Okay, so we don't know if this is going to be the spot where price is changing direction and starts going into a bearish trend. We don't know if price is simply going to stay here for the next hour and stay in a range, or whether price is going to continue its way upwards. We don't know this. But we do know that if price starts pushing upwards, if I start seeing a couple of green candles like we did here, we've got some red, got some green, red in between doesn't matter, but the general direction, we are moving upwards. We made a high, made the correction, made it low, and by the time we got to this candle, the low confirmed, we broke the parabolic stop and release to the top side. So again, that was a bullish move with a very high ADX, and we have the exact same thing happening here now. We just need to wait to see, does price push upwards from here, or is this indeed the reversal? We don't know. We just have to wait and see. So we're going to sit on this for a bit. This should be a good trade if it does give us an entry. If this does continue its way upwards, we just need to wait and see for that to happen. While we're sitting on this, I want to touch on some other indicators as well. The two favorites that I use, two of my favorite indicators, would be the RSI and the stochastic oscillator. I'm going to leave these on default values. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will know that what I'm doing now is just changing the way that my RSI looks. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'll explain that in a second. There we go. So the RSI and stochastic are both momentum indicators. And the reason I do this with my RSI is because at a glance, if I look at this RSI, because it's a momentum indicator, I know that the RSI moves between the values of 0 and 100. So the 50 line is halfway between that. And if we're talking about momentum, anything below the 50 line is bearish momentum, and anything above the 50 line would be bullish momentum. So at a glance, I can see how the RSI has been bullish from here. From this crossover here, we were in a bearish move. RSI was bearish, showed us the bearish momentum, and here the RSI switched over to the above the 50 line, and that's where the bullish move started. And we can see that this bullish moves continued. And as it continued, the RSI kept testing the 50 line, kept coming back to the 50 line, but it did reject every single time. And that's the reason I do my ADX like that. It also makes it easy for you to spot ranges. Like this is a range, and if we look at price, we can see that price has been in this area here. Excuse me. Price has been kind of like stuck in here while the RSI is moving like this. So this makes it easy for you to identify ranges and trends just at a glance. If you have the RSI moving on above the 50 line and it goes to overbought and then comes back and goes to overbought and then comes back again, then you know we are in the trend, and those, every time we get those pullbacks, that's just the corrections happening, and then the correction just continues its way upwards. The bullish move continues. Looks like we're going to get a I'm going to do a 5-minute buy on this. My parabolics just switched. We had the flip. We can see here we had the flip. So the parabolic did break through right here, and so this is telling me while the ADX is on 26, so the ADX is still fairly decently high. We've got this DI plus coming up really hard now. So this is telling me that this move here is very likely the same as this and this, simply just a correction, and that price should continue in this bullish move. Another thing that helped with that, or helped confirms it, is that my stochastic came down to the 50 area, made a bullish crossover. We had the RSI come down again to the 50 line, tested and got rejected, although that happened a couple of candles ago. So this is telling me that this is likely just a correction, and that price should continue in its way upwards, at least in the very near future, enough for me to take a 5-minute buy and see what happens. So we'll just have to wait for this to run out, for this expiry to run out. But yeah, because the like I said, momentum indicators, when you combine a momentum indicator with a trend indicator, it usually gives you kind of gives you both best of both worlds. It's a very good combination. Any trend indicator with any momentum indicator, combining them, as long as you understand what those indicators are showing you, you can use them to find entries. It's a very, very good combination. That's the reason these three indicators work really well alongside the parabolic stop and release, because we can't simply take a break in the parabolic. If I did take a sell trade on this break here, for example, when price moved through the parabolic stop and release here, if I did take a sell there, it doesn't matter how long I took that sell, that would have been a horrible trade for me. Whether it's 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute expiry on this would not have been a great trade. And we will see this everywhere. Same here. We've got bullish momentum on the RSI. We've got the ADX high. So if I did try to take a sell here, simply because price broke through the parabolic, 1 and 2 minute here would have been forgiving, but 3, 4 and 5 minute trades here would have not been great either. So we don't want to simply take a trade in the direction of the parabolic as soon as it breaks. That's not something we want to do. We want to see it in context. I really hope this is not going to burn me now. We want to take the parabolic and see it in the context of what is happening on the chart and what our momentum or strength indicators are showing us. We combine those two and then say, okay, fine, there's a very good chance that if I take this trade along with the trend, that it should be a good trade. And of course, the example that I'm taking now is going to burn me, but it's okay. Just want to sit and wait for this to finish. It's got just over a minute left on the clock. and we'll see what happens, but I do not think this is going to have the legs and this is going to have the strength to push upwards anymore. Textbook entry, but sometimes we take it at the wrong time. So this would appear, the fact that this is happening, we do have some faint, very faint bearish divergence on price here, so this could be the start of a bearish move. Maybe not, but it's definitely not going to make this in time. This will not push up in time for me to win this, but it's okay. The concept remains safe, or not safe. The concept remains, well, just remains. This is a very good strategy in the sense that you will get entries. As with any other strategy, they will be losing trades. We cannot help this. I know a lot of people are searching for that 100% win rate strategy or that 90% win rate strategy. Doesn't exist. Make peace with it. If you do find it, please let me know. I'd love to see it. Let's see if we can find another entry while we're at it. See if we can pick up some any assets where price is trending nicely, so we can maybe just get an example. Okay, so we do have price running upwards here. We have the ADX very high here, very, very high. We can close that out. I think that's I think this might be the turn for it. Might be coming down here. I'll keep an eye on it. Here's another possible entry for us. Let's see, I'm gonna go with this. This is looking good. If it breaks the parabolic, which it might not, we have a very high ADX. RSI is nice and high. Stochastic is in overbought area, which is good. Showing me there's a lot of bullish momentum. RSI is showing me there's a lot of bullish momentum. If the parabolic breaks, we'll just go with a trade there as well. Also, this could be a change in direction. My ADX is a little bit low here. Not loving it. We're not seeing a DI crossover yet. The only thing that's showing me that there's a little bit of bullish momentum is the RSI at the moment. We did break through after a long time that it was below the 50 line. Did break through, did two tests here, and the stochastic as well is nice and high. So a lot of momentum. I'm not going to risk it with this with a low ADX like this. So probably on the second break of that, this is coming down as well. Very low ADX, very low ADX. Okay. I'm not going to sit for half an hour just searching for entries. That's going to be a waste of everybody's time because we might not get that. I always, like I said, I always hope when I make these videos that I get some good entries just to show as examples. But the market doesn't always want to play along. The charts doesn't always want to give me what I want. So at least now we understand what the parabolic, how the parabolic stop and release works. We understand that we can't use it by itself. We understand that we can't really use it while price is ranging. We need to figure out, before we even look for entries with the parabolic, we need to figure out, is price ranging or is price trending? If price is trending, great, we can look for entries. We understand that we need to combine it with a strength or a momentum indicator to show us whether the current move has momentum or has a lot of strength behind that. That's what the ADX and the RSI and the stochastic will do for you. And we're definitely not going to counter trend the parabolic at all. Counter trending means if we are in an upwards move, we're not going to take sell positions when the parabolic gets broken. We're not going to take sell positions because we are actually hoping that when the parabolic gets broken, that's just a correction in the trend. We're going to wait to see if this is true, and then if the parabolic gets broken in the direction of the trend, then we can take a trade in the direction of the trend. So yeah, remember that if you're trading Forex, you need to apply the same principles, but you then need to figure out, let me actually use this as an example. Hypothetically speaking, let's suppose we took a buy trade here on this. We didn't really have a reason, but just to explain on the Forex side how you can actually manage your stops to not get stopped out too early to catch most of the move that you can. Suppose we took a trade on this candle here. Actually, let's just put it in a vertical line. We're going to suppose we took a trade on that candle there. That's the candle that broke the parabolic. Okay, so once this happened, your stop loss would have been around, mine would have been around here. I like to use the most recent low when I'm taking a Forex trade, but you could have done this previous stop as low as well. But suppose we had the stop loss there. We had price come down and then we started to see the upwards move. Now we're in a position, for me personally, as soon as we break the entry level, I like to do just bring my stop up a little bit. But from here on, because it's a bullish move, I use the lows that price form to keep moving my stops. I never close out a Forex trade manually, ever. All my trades will get stopped out always. So what I would do is, you can use the parabolic here because the parabolic will the parabolic will act as a kind of like a stop loss area. So suppose we took our trade here. We're going up. We had this break here. Now, while this break was happening, we didn't know whether the price was going to come down or continue its way up. We did not know this. It did eventually, but while price was, at the moment it broke here, we did not know what was going to happen. So price came down and then turned around, and this candle here broke the parabolic again to the upper side. Now, as soon as that happened, that would have been my stop loss. Now, this buy that I have here is risk-free. There's zero risk involved anymore. Because if I do get stopped out now, it's above my entry price. So if I do get stopped out there, I still make money. I don't take a loss. So any trade where your stop loss is in a profit, it's a risk-free trade. There's no more risk to it. There's no more risk that you will lose any money on that trade. You might not make as much as you could, but greed, that goes back to greed, being greedy, and that's also something you do not want to mess around with. And we would have simply repeated the process from here on out. Every time we make a dip and the price gets broken, this happened here as well. So as soon as that got pierced, again, as soon as the parabolic resistance got pierced, so the upper side, stop loss goes up to there. And then we were running. We got another correction and we moved upwards again. So as soon as that one got pierced, my stop would have gone there. Now what would have happened? This trade would have gotten stopped out here. That's where I would have been stopped out on this move. And if I then let's just make this blue. It's a bit dark. No, let's keep it white. So using the parabolic, or using this method of closing my trades, that would have been my buy trade. I would have kept on moving my stops every time that the parabolic gets broken on the upper side. I simply move my stops up to the last low. This is a great way of managing your trades. Remember, if it's easy, while we're doing options, we have a set expiry, we take a 5-minute trade, we take a 3-minute trade, whatever, and when that time runs out, your trade is done. We don't do anything, we don't manage our trades. In Forex, we manage our trades. You need to manage. You can't simply take a buy or take a sell, forget about it, come back next week. We can't do that. So once you're in a position, you need to manage it. And this is how you manage it, by moving your stops along as price is progressing, locking in profit, reducing risk, which is the way we need to, the name of the game for us. We need to minimize our risk as much as possible. So this is a very decent distance in a move like this, simply because instead of panicking, instead of being greedy, suppose I did not apply this method and I wanted to stay in this trade because this amount of movement is not enough for me, I would have been regretting that now. By the way, that price is falling. For all I know, it can just continue falling all the way down. We don't know. This way, I'm locking in profit, and if I do get stopped out, I get stopped out. It doesn't matter to me, because I locked in my profit and I don't have to stress about my trade. I can leave this trade open overnight. I can leave this trade if I have to step away from my computer. I don't have to stress about price changing direction while I'm away from my screen, because I've got my stops. My stops are in, profit is locked, it's zero risk. And that's, like I said, this is a way of managing it. You can using the parabolic stop and release. Every time it gets broken to the upside, you just move your stops up to the most recent low that you had. And of course, we do the exact same opposite for when we are in a sell trade and the price is moving downwards. Exactly the same concept, we just do the opposite. Okay. Fine. So I think that's it for today. We had one entry that didn't really work out, which kind of sucks, but it happens. It's part of the game. We do lose some of our trades. We can't always have good ones, but at least we got the idea of how to use the parabolic across, I hope. If there's any questions, now's the time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was helpful in practical application. And yeah, I'll see you guys on next Wednesday, where we will be discussing we'll see what we discuss, but we will definitely be doing some more trading, same as today. And yeah, have a great week. And for those of you in the Telegram group, I'll see you guys tomorrow for our normal trading sessions. We had a good day today, and if you're not in the Telegram group yet, it's free, so why are you not? Links for joining will be in the description in the video. Come join us, see what it's like. There's zero hidden costs. Everything's free. We do some trading every day. We do a couple of trading sessions every day live. So come join us if you're not in the group yet. Okay, have a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.